Hello, everyone. We are back for another episode of the Love Your Liver live stream. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And today is kind of a mixed bag of things. It's going to be a Q&A when we get there. We got some testimonials, some interesting things, and some reminders of what to do for yourselves and your loved ones if you go into a hospital, how to protect yourself. And we're going to go over some of the new social media sites that we have. So first of all, those of us in the vitamin A community, the low vitamin A community, or the vitamin A disrespecters community, as Mike Roberto puts it, many of us are familiar with Grant Generoux's website. Well, a recent article was posted, a blog post was posted there. And part of this is why I wanted to introduce my Substack, was because it was not a pleasant article, and it was aimed at me mainly. So here, let me show you my new Substack. So the Substack's been around a bit, but I haven't published a lot of really researched articles on it yet. That has changed now. So I wrote a response article to Grant's blog post. And if you all want to check it out and understand more about what has been going on in the 10 years we've all been doing this, or the 10 years that Grant's been doing it, and the 7 years that I've been doing it, then you can go read that. I think it's an important read for people in the community to familiarize yourselves with. This is going to be a multi-part article. Oh, I can zoom in. Yeah, sure, Joe. Ooh, there we go. So yeah, you can look up Nutrition Detective Network. It's Dr. Garrett Smith at .substack.com. And yeah, subscribe if you're on there and you want to see more, because like I said, this is going to be a multi-part article coming out. And I'm going to start putting, one of my plans is to convert a lot of my my Twitter threads into articles and put them on here so they are a little bit easier to digest with less clicking. And to be honest, I'm getting tired of Twitter. Twitter is just getting so negative. So let's head on to the other websites. So we under some very good advice, we decided to start new Instagram pages and new Facebook pages. So we're working on those. We are still, filling them out, but this is our new Instagram page, the.real nutrition detective the.real nutrition detective on Instagram. So you can follow that if you choose to, if you're on Instagram. And then our new Facebook page, we're working on a custom URL for that. We don't have that yet, but I just thought I'd announce it today with all the other stuff we're talking about. So yeah, now I want to get into the new paper that just came out, the new study that just came out. So let me zoom in a little bit for this one. Science Daily this is the summary article. This is kind of the more layperson article. Fatty liver breakthrough. A safe, cheap vitamin shows promise. Can you guess what vitamin we're going to be talking about? It's something that's really much more like an amino acid than a vitamin, both in structure and in dosages that are required. And we are talking about flush niacin, aka nicotinic acid. So, oh, the link. Joe doesn't have the link. Joe, I sent you all those links, but here we go. Oh, and while we're here, why don't we, Kirill posted in the chat, he said niacin and low vitamin A diet got rid of his cat, quote, allergies. So somebody's just, quick testimonials on the web, on the chat. I love those. And so they're going through, researchers they're looking at the mechanism. I'm not going to go into detail on this. You can go read it. But B3, as they're saying here, vitamin B3, and when they talk about vitamin B3 in these papers, they're typically talking about nicotinic acid. If they're going to say niacinamide, they say it. So it's kind of like they try to hide flush niacin, aka nicotinic acid. They always call it vitamin B3 or niacin. They will not mention nicotinic acid anywhere in these papers. They'll call it niacin every single time. They're trying, they want to tell you, but they also want to hide it, because why? Well, foods are fortified, especially flour is fortified with niacinamide, which is trash. Don't take niacinamide. Don't take anything supplements or foods that have niacinamide added. It's garbage. It's bad for you. Nicotinic acid won't ever be fortified in foods, partially because it's too good for you, but partially because who wants to just go and eat foods and get a flush when they don't know it's going to happen? You know, you don't want to get surprise flushes. So that's really why nicotinic acid has never been put in food, because it's kind of rude to make people flush when they didn't necessarily know it was coming or want to do it. So anyway, yeah, so you can go and check this. They had genetically susceptible mice to, was it mice? Yeah, mice. So yeah, so that's, they found the only thing they used to actually even talk about it, the FDA approved drug. So see, they're going to try to confuse it even more. The FDA approved drug that most effectively targets this factor is vitamin B3. Well, why do they call it a drug? Because it's made into sustained release nicotinic acid pills, so it doesn't make people flush, because flushing is uncomfortable for some people. Okay, so it's not a drug. It's it's more like an amino acid than it ever was, like a vitamin. And they're trying to like both not mention it by name, but then call it a drug. So do you see how they're trying to confuse the matter? They're trying to announce it, but they're trying to confuse it very well. But when they say vitamin B3 in these papers, they're talking about nicotinic acid, because the only thing that is a drug about niacin is I think it's been around for like 50 years, the sustained release nicotinic acid pill. Now, just so you know, when people try to badmouth nicotinic acid, a lot of the research on this is on this sustained release nicotinic acid, aka flush niacin, and it's actually the slow release compounds that they add to it, and they've shown this in the research. It's the slow release stuff that causes the problems that some people think is a nicotinic acid problem. So there's a lot of confusing stuff out there about nicotinic acid, but we did have somebody else. Laura Koch sent a chat. She said, me too on cat allergies. So between flush niacin and the low vitamin A program, we now have 2 people in the chat saying it got rid of their cat allergies. So be very careful, the people who are trying to badmouth nicotinic acid, aka flush niacin. They probably don't know what they're talking about. And of course, some people can have bad reactions to it. Some people could dump way too much bile and they don't feel good from it. Anybody can have a bad reaction to anything at any time. That doesn't mean things are bad. If somebody goes and they can squat 500 pounds, and then another person who doesn't lift goes in the gym and tries to squat 500 pounds and they break themselves, does that mean squatting is bad? No, it doesn't mean squatting is bad. It means that there are different things that are appropriate for different people at different times, at different levels, and of different health backgrounds, genetic backgrounds, histories, toxicities, nutrient deficiencies. There's nuance to it, which you'll start to appreciate the nuance of things if you go and you read my Substack. Okay? So there's that. Oh, let's just hit on this. I want to show you the paper. So this is the actual paper. Hepatic MIR 93 promotes the pathogenesis of metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic, that's fatty, metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease. I believe this is one of the new names for fatty liver that they're trying to do, where they're trying to say it's non-alcohol related. And this is the mechanism they're talking about, okay? So notice they don't say nicotinic acid or niacin in the title, or even vitamin B3. They try to hide it. And they tested something like, I thought I remember 150 different meds in these analyses they did. And niacin, nicotinic acid, was the only one demonstrated to help. So now let's show this. This is just a picture from the paper. Notice fatty liver is yellow. They always draw it as yellow. It always looks yellow. Here's normal, right? It's kind of that burgundy maroon color. Here's good old niacin right up here, helping to turn fatty liver back to normal liver. Why is fatty liver yellow? Because most toxins, many toxins out there, fat-soluble toxins are yellow. Vitamin A is yellow. Vitamin E is yellow or orangish. So is vitamin A. Vitamin A is yellow, orange, red. Vitamin E, if you've seen red palm oil, is orangish, reddish, or vitamin E is yellow if you're talking about the tocopherols. So why would fat-soluble toxins, aka fat storable toxins, why would the liver then make more fat to store these things? Because they're stored in fat. That's how the liver can hold on to them and not poison you all day with them. So the liver holds on to them. The fat then turns yellow because the toxins it is storing are yellow. Okay. So, yeah, that's that. Okay. Now let's get into the testimonials for today. And then we'll get into the Q&A. So if you guys have questions you want to go over, post them in the chat. I will do super chats first, which we always appreciate. And then that gets you priority. And then I'll go back to the top and we'll go down through questions. Okay. Well, we'll just hit on this one real quick. TML Music says, doctor wants me to take alpha calcidiol, aka the quote active form of vitamin D due to my low kidney function. I tried it and it makes my cold extremities way worse. I'm guessing calcification. Any advice? Okay. There's two things that vitamin A does in the system. Or sorry, vitamin D. Vitamin D does in the system. It raises calcium by either pulling calcium out of your diet into the blood, or it will pull calcium out of your bones into the blood. That's how like when they're going to kill rats with vitamin D3 rat poison, when they give them enough vitamin D, and this happens in people too, it is going to rip. Vitamin D supplements especially is going to raise your blood calcium by hook or by crook. It's either going to do it from your diet or it's going to do it from your bones. And then we see on hair tests when people have a history of taking vitamin D supplements, their hair calcium is way up because they've been yanking out of their bones, putting it in their blood. Their body's actually trying to get rid of that extra calcium in their blood a couple ways. The body tries to get the calcium out of your blood a couple ways. It will either, one of the ways it can get rid of it, it puts it in your hair. It's actually trying to get rid of calcium through your hair so it shows up on a hair test. Another way will be it puts it into your soft tissues. Arthritis, bone spurs, calcification. If you have diseases and you go to the doctor, if you've ever had a disease or you've heard about diseases being diagnosed on CT scan or X-ray, the biggest thing, the easiest thing for those to see is calcium deposits. Okay? So we don't really want a bunch of extra calcium floating around in our system. So anyway, on a hair test and in the research, vitamin D will raise calcium in your blood, which then eventually, over time, will raise it in your hair. And over time, it also tends to deplete you of potassium. I have a study on rats in this, okay? So it lowers your potassium. So if you're looking at a hair test of somebody who took vitamin D supplements, you'll see high calcium and low potassium. In the hair analysis world, a high calcium to low potassium will tend to make a high calcium to potassium ratio, and that is considered to be hypothyroid. What did you just say happened? It makes your cold extremities way worse. What would hypothyroid tend to be associated with the symptoms of? Making you colder, lowering your body temperature. So, if you wanted to, TML Music, I would look into, so the ways to fix your vitamin D status, or let me put it this way, the way I would fix my vitamin D status if I had an issue with it, and this is stuff that I do. Number one, sunlight or sun lamps, like a Spurdy. I believe the link will be in the info box below. Tanning beds. Like I'm thinking about, because I'm in Tucson, I've heard Planet Fitness actually in general. I know Planet Fitness is like a joke, but if you need a tanning bed, I've heard Planet Fitness tends to have pretty darn good ones. So you could spend $20 a month or $25 a month, whatever it is. And all winter, if you live somewhere dreary, if you just don't get enough sun in the winter months or whatever, you could get that little membership and do tanning during the winter, and it will improve your mood. You'll feel better. You'll have better energy. Just because humans can live in low sun areas or dreary areas does not mean it's good for us. There's a reason why we don't have a lot of hair. It's because we're kind of designed to live in warmer areas and get lots of sun on our skin. So if you can't move, you got to do something about it, okay? So, TML Music said, thanks a lot, Doc. I noticed lower potassium on the last blood test after this alpha calcidiol, so that matches perfectly with your study. Thank you. Yeah, and we know that and one of the things that hypercalcemia does, for those of you who might be taking vitamin D supplements, you might be taking vitamin A in food or supplements, or you might be taking too much calcium supplements or calcium in your food. Hypercalcemia, excess calcium in your blood, you can go and look in the research, it lowers blood potassium. It causes hypokalemia. So if you were ever taking any of these things and you started getting, let's say, cramping, muscle cramping, especially in your feet or lower legs or legs in general, you're probably running low on potassium. And if you're doing extra calcium, however it is in your diet, whether it's vitamin D, vitamin D raises blood calcium, right? Vitamin A raises blood calcium by ripping it out of your bones as well. Calcium supplements are the quickest way to get hypercalcemia. You're just taking calcium. And then the combination of those three, which is dairy, could raise your blood calcium quite quickly or slowly over time. Those things would then tend to lower potassium. And remember what I told you, I have the study on rats where, I think it was rats, it's either rats or mice, vitamin D lowered potassium. They actually saw that it was kicking potassium out of the animals into their pee. So, and then you can look in the research for hypercalcemia and hypokalemia, which is high calcium in the blood, low potassium in the blood. They go together. So it shows up on the hair test that way. It can show up in your blood test that way. It can show up in your symptoms that way. Calcium causes muscles to contract. You need calcium to contract your muscles. So you need it to contract your muscles. And too much calcium would cause too much contraction. A lack of potassium would tends to cause cramping, especially in the lower legs. High calcium lowers potassium. Low potassium tends to go along with lower leg cramps. Are you seeing the pattern here? So these are just symptoms of, do we need calcium? Yes, you can go watch my calcium live stream about it. We need some. How much? That's a huge debate. Different people at different times, like a pregnant woman would probably need more. A growing child would probably need more. Whereas like a grown man like me, I don't need as much as others might. As Grant did in his 7-year update, he did a DEXA scan after 7 years on a low calcium, low vitamin A diet. He had no bone problems. He had no osteopenia, no osteoporosis. His test was totally fine. So this calcium thing is very individualized based on what your dietary status is, what your age is, different things like that. So, okay, so here we go. Tillandsia Noyoides said, starting getting cramps after over 4 years of LYL diet, no more cramps after adding high calcium foods. We do need a certain amount of calcium. That's exactly what I'm saying. So that's why I talk about in the video, you can try it, see if it helps. I experimented with quite a bit of calcium yesterday. I probably had the RDA of calcium yesterday because I was testing it, because I do this stuff. You know what I had? I was sitting around all last night I was almost cramping in my legs in multiple different places. As I said, different people need different amounts. Do some people need more than they were getting? Sure. Can that help them? Yes. Is the RDA obscenely high for people, especially on a low vitamin A diet? Yeah, I think so. So that's about all I'm going to hit on calcium on that. It's a very individualized thing. And supplements, calcium supplements in the research, if you go and you watch my calcium live stream, put people in the ground early. So be very, very careful with it. Okay. Let's keep going. So yeah. So the testimonials. Here we go. Let's do this, Joe. Testimonial number 1. I have it. So about the zinc-niacin salve. It's in production right now. It will be back out soon. Kelsey made some improvements to the formulation, so it's just better. And like the labels are ordered, the jars are on their way, everything's on their way to our formulator, and it should be out soon. So those of you who are going to read this and you go, can we get it? No, it's still sold out. We sold out really quick of this. Kelsey came up with an amazing product. We made it. Now she's improved it further. And yeah, we ordered 1,000 jars of it the first time, and it was with a couple months gone. So why do I keep hitting that space button? Anyway, let's go over this. I have a testimonial for the Zinc-niacin salve and flesh niacin helping me with wasp stings. Maybe knowing about these things will help someone else. I tried to do yard work, disturbed wasps, and got stung in the middle of my neck where I can't reach, and also several times in the boob and nipple. It hurt so bad. I immediately took homeopathic apis. If you don't know what homeopathic apis is, it's actually a homeopathic remedy prepared from... So if you don't know anything about homeopathic remedies, look, homeopathy can work amazingly well. I talk about homeopathic detox therapy in the program. Homeopathy doesn't always work. When it does, the great thing about homeopathy is if you try it, it's not going to hurt you. As opposed to, like, I don't know, let's say corticosteroids, where you can take them and they can mess you up pretty bad, but they get the inflammation down. So anyway, not a huge place to discuss homeopathy, but homeopathic apis, the way they make it is they grind up a bee and they mix it with water the way they do, and then they do these serial dilutions many, many times to make it so that it's like an energetic medicine in the water or in the little pellets. Okay? If you're not familiar with homeopathy, I mean, if you want to come here and just speak poorly of homeopathy, I'm not. I am both. I look at homeopathy as it has very good uses. It is not something that I rely upon. It is something that can help along the way. It can help with acute things, but it's not something that I use every day. And homeopathy will not fix nutrient problems. Okay? So I immediately took homeopathic apis, which is a homeopathic preparation of a bee, covered my breast and nipple in the zinc-niacin salve. Couldn't reach the spot on my back. I'd already taken a keystone mineral with flesh niacin right before the incident. I had to go to work, so I brought the jar of salve, homeopathic apis, arnica gel, and hydrocortisone cream in my work bag, hoping I could soothe it enough to get through the day. It ended up not being not so bad considering how bad it was. I reapplied the salve once at work and took a little more apis. That was all I needed all day. Changing clothes after work irritated again, so I repeated the salve and apis. No need for the hydrocortisone cream or the arnica. It still sucks, but not as bad as I thought it would. I think immediately hitting this both topically and internally with truly healing things was the answer. Thanks for making your products. So, actually, Julie got stung by something. I forget what it was, too. And actually, there's been a lot of stings lately so I think Kelsey got stung outside and Julie got stung and then this person got stung. And it was funny. Kelsey messaging me, I got stung by a wasp outside, and I was like, Zinc-niacin salve. And she's like, I'm already doing it. She's like, I already took my niacin. And I was like, oh, good. And she's like, it's almost gone. So Julie said the same thing. She put the Zinc-niacin salve on it. So much better. I forget if it was a bee or a wasp for her. Kelsey did it too. We have this person. So if you need a first aid kit, if you should have a first aid kit around your house, Zinc-niacin salve in there for various rashes, bites, stings, stuff like that would be a very good addition. Let's do this. Okay, so testimonial 2. This is less of a testimonial and more of a person's observations about what's going on in Canada. So testimonial 2, here we go. This is what they were offering at the hospital food. So you can see all this. It's not great. You know, cottage cheese, hard-boiled egg, carrot spice muffins, an apple Nutri-Grain bar, sugar. You can just get sugar, brown sugar. You get to circle what you want. Milk, oranges, you know, like, so this is like vitamin A. This is like a vitamin A disaster. Okay. And lots of this is probably fortified. High Pro is, I'm going to guess that's fortified. So is the milk fortified. So is the cereals fortified. So is the bread. I mean, Canada requires anything that is I believe almost any flour that's wheat flour that's produced in Canada, or any bread products that are made from flour, even organic stuff, has to be fortified. Okay. It has to be in Canada. Canada requires basically everything flour made in Canada to be fortified. It's only imported stuff that is already made into bread products that doesn't have to be fortified. Here we go. I want to say thank you to Dr. Smith and this entire community. You are helping save my mom's life and possibly give some of her cognition back. Any extra quality time I have with this feisty 75-year-old is invaluable to me. She recently suffered a terrible accident where she was semi-unconscious and starved of food and hydration for possibly 5 or 6 days. So, folks, make sure to check up on your parents if they live by themselves. I don't know what happened in this situation, but anyway, like, if your parents live alone, check up on them all the time. Like, my brother and I help take care of my mom. We try to have somebody around here all the time, as much as we can. You know, if we leave and she's alone here, it's only for like 2 hours. So I'm just saying, check up on your loved older ones, or even if they're younger and they have trouble taking care of themselves, just check up on them. Okay. I'm not saying this person didn't do that. I'm just giving you a reminder. Okay. She suffered terrible skin wounds and her cognition has taken a huge setback from this accident. She is previously experiencing mild neurological symptoms, but was living independently. I want to show everyone what Canadian hospitals feed patients. That was the picture. Polysorbate 80 was listed as an ingredient on the vanilla pudding they served her today. I've been doing everything I can to intercept their food with mostly Love Your Liver approved food with a tiny sprinkle of MSG. I've started her slowly. If you haven't seen the MSG episode, you're going to want to go watch that. I've started her slowly on charcoal, fiber, and a bit of tartaric acid. That's a potassium source. Actually, tartaric acid has been shown to grab on to some toxic minerals. Okay. Robina M said 1847 mill makes organic flour that isn't fortified. They are in Ontario and make great products. Well, I don't know how they're getting around the rules, but somebody's getting around the rules. That's great. I have also been giving her some topical magnesium and a small dose of potassium. The onslaught of toxins they are throwing her way is horrific. This is the part I wanted to go over with you guys. She was already, without proper informed consent, injected with a Tdap shot. This is plus antibiotics. I've had to have, so Austin's saying whole grains don't need to be fortified in Canada. Yeah, I don't know how they'd fortify whole grains, but wheat, wheat flour for sure. Yes. I've had to have some very stern conversations with some very arrogant doctors. It's almost like they are trying to poison the people here. Folks, if you go into the hospital here or in the West, possibly anywhere in the world, they may, if you don't write on your forms that you're signing, saying that you're okaying this surgery and you're okaying them, like let's say you were dying in the middle of it, for them to do heroic measures to save you, they will have things in those forms saying that they can give you biologics or other term. If any of you guys know, there's like a new term. I saw it on Instagram Reel or something. There's a new term on these forms. They made a new term so that people wouldn't know what it was. But the old ones used to be biologics, and there's a new one. You must write on the form and, initial or sign by it, no biologics, no, the third term, whatever it is. If somebody has it, please put it in the chat or in the comments later. You must, if you do not want these things, you must write that. Okay. This is your informed consent about what you can do to keep, what do we want to call it? Bodily autonomy, to prevent things from being put into you while you are not conscious. You have to do this to protect yourself, if that's what you want. Okay. So we got, hospitals and hospital food and hospital shots and other things. So be careful. Take care of yourself. Okay. So now let's get to the chats and the live chat Q&A, all that stuff. So that's what we got today. We got the Substack announcement, the Facebook, the Instagram. the study on niacin and helping resolve fatty liver, and then the mechanisms that they're looking at with that. And then we've got our testimonials. So let's head into, Joe, you can show whatever, you can put me on the screen or whatever. Okay, so we have Austin did a super chat. Any risk of persorption with daily activated charcoal use? Thanks. Well, let's define that for everybody so everybody knows what you're talking about. Okay. Persorption of microparticles, right? This is the article. I do all this so I can save it later. Basically, solid, hard microparticles such as starch granules, pollen, cellulose particles, fibers, and crystals whose diameters are well into the micrometer range are incorporated regularly in considerable numbers from the digestive tract. Okay. So basically what we're talking about here is what the question is could charcoal be like absorbed into the cells and get stuck there? That's the question that I'm getting out of this from Austin. Let me go and let's just look. Activated charcoal persorption gastrointestinal PubMed. There we go. I'm guessing, Austin, you looked and you couldn't find anything on this. I'm not finding, I use that keyword there, persorption, and I'm not seeing any mention of it. And we could assume that there would be stuff in the literature talking about, let's say you have somebody who regularly took charcoal daily, maybe multiple times a day for health, like we do. A lot of us do. Does it make sense that it would eventually, that you would absorb enough into those gastrointestinal cells if they were constantly being absorbed to this and they were soaking up enough of it that, all of us here who have used charcoal, how easily it turns things blackish or grayish, right? It's messy. It gets everywhere. So if this was an issue, we'd probably see case studies in the literature saying that people's guts, like literally when they would do an endoscopy, or the colonoscopy, when they go up in there, it would be black or at least gray. And they'd say, oh, this person obviously, activated charcoal is obviously having persorption and it's changing the color of their actual gut lining. We don't see that anywhere. It's also kind of like when I talk about colonoscopies, it's like the proof that people don't carry around 20 to 25 pounds of undigested poop that's stuck to the walls of their gut, because as soon as somebody takes the laxative that the doctors give them before the colonoscopy and they go in for the colonoscopy, they can see all the shiny pink walls of their intestine. Don't you think people would notice if they took a laxative and they were crapping out 25 pounds of old, hardened poop that was stuck to the walls of their intestines for who knows how long? And don't you think they would be dying of malabsorption? Because nutrients don't move on their own, right? So if you had a wall of poop against your gut lining, you would die of malabsorption because none of the nutrients can penetrate through the poop. Okay? So that's just one of the myths. The whole carrying around 20 pounds of poop lining your intestines, that's just garbage. Like a simple colonoscopy video proves that wrong. If they went in for colonoscopies and you did a laxative, because they would see they would just see poop on the walls, right? But they don't. So that's just one of those other things. So, but with activated charcoal, right, we would expect to see gray or black walls of the intestines if the cells were gradually absorbing it. Okay, so Austin said, you got it. Couldn't find anything on it. My brother warned me, but he's a religious Peter, although it sounded like a legitimate concern. I mean, sure, it's a legitimate concern. Yeah. He says, I appreciate your feedback, though. That makes sense. I mean, I try to make sense. I try to look for obvious things. So yeah, that's sure. The idea, like here's another idea on activated charcoal that people who are sketchy of it or suspicious of it, or just Peters will bring up. It's going to cause a nutrient deficiency. Now, I've been over this before. The idea that charcoal could cause a nutrient deficiency is based on one paper. You want to know what they did in that paper? They added charcoal to apple juice to see if it would clarify the apple juice, and then they measured some of the vitamin contents of it. They saw that in apple juice, it reduced, like, I don't know, vitamin C and B6 by some, and it made it clearer. It reduced some of the yellowish color of apple juice. So then people took that, and then they'll say, oh, charcoal will deplete your nutrients, while avoiding looking at the studies of, let's say, I don't know, people who had part of their colons removed, so they were very likely to have nutrient deficiencies. And these people often also had colostomy bags. And these people took activated charcoal in large doses for years to help with the smell of the colostomy bag. Right? I'm saying that, I don't know why I'm saying that word funny, colostomy. And these people never got nutrient deficiencies from the charcoal. So people with a compromised gut, like they don't even have their full gut, taking charcoal multiple times a day, did not develop nutrient deficiencies from large doses of charcoal multiple times a day. So Muhammad Shadab asks, where's your super chat? You bought it just now. Maybe you didn't hit the full button, Muhammad, or maybe it'll take a second. I don't know, but we didn't do anything with it. So, okay, let's get into, okay, so we got the testimonial. I hope that answers it, Austin. I mean, it's like with Zeolite, there's going to be people out there making stuff up about Zeolite, that the latest, one of the fever dreams, the like obvious psyop fever dreams that people are having about Zeolite was, somebody said, oh, it's helping the nanobots in your system to make antennas in your body. Just Zeolite. The nanobots are grabbing onto the Zeolite, breaking it down, and turning it into EMF antennas. And it's like, she presents a couple of pictures, which could, I mean, folks, AI exists, right? You could just tell AI to make up some pictures and say they were put under a microscope. And then you go, why is she studying Zeolite of all things? What if, because enough people will believe whatever somebody says on the internet, especially if it's conspiracy theory, you got to realize the bad guys can go into the conspiracy world too and put out totally untrue information. Let's just say Zeolite could grab onto all sorts of things, like, I don't know, graphene oxide or other things, and they wanted to badmouth it so that people don't use it because it would help them. Let's say they were going to do the same thing with that compound, that 3-letter compound we sometimes talk about as borine trioxide. What if they wanted to badmouth that? Because that would help too. What if people being toxic was very important to their plans? And good old borine trioxide oxidizes toxins. Zeolite grabs onto toxins and literally carries them out of you, prioritizing the worst toxins first. Charcoal does the same thing. It just has different affinities than Zeolite. So Zeolite and charcoal really grab on well to different compounds. They grab onto a lot of the same compounds, of course, but they like different things. Just like you and your brother may like similar foods, but your favorite food is this and his favorite food is that. It's just different. So similar, but different. Okay. So yeah, you got to watch out for that stuff. I mean, then all of a sudden they're promoting nicotine. So you go, wait, okay. The alternative health media, especially on social media, is promoting nicotine, promoting ivermectin, promoting all these drugs And now they're going to make sure they do safe studies on, legitimate safe studies to restore your faith in the pokies. And then you're going to have the alternative media going, boron trioxide is terrible and zeolite helps the nanobots build antennas. And oh my goodness. Folks, you are living through an information war. Don't believe everything you see on social media. And the more out there it is, if these people were really saying how to fix the problem, I don't think they'd be allowed to be around anymore, if you know what I mean. If they were getting that deep into the legitimate problem. So anyway, someone might say, well, aren't you at risk, Dr. Smith? I don't think we're big enough yet. So, and also, thanks to all of you, the word is spreading big enough. It's kind of like an idea, once it spreads, cannot be. It's like the V for Vendetta movie. I love that movie. Now that I know more about it, I'm not as gassed about it. But when they talk about an idea cannot be killed, so the idea has gotten out a lot more. So now they could come after the leaders in the movement, but there's plenty of information out there that it's not going to really stop everything. So that's why I tried to spread the word as much as I could. So let's get into Sergio's super chat. He says, Doc, my mom has very big varicose veins. How can I help her? Also help with hair. My hair stopped falling from Love Your Liver, but can I do more? I have little left. Okay. So we'll take this on a two-part question. First, varicose veins, especially big ones. How do they come about? I've explained this before, but I'm happy to explain it again. Oh, and sorry, I forgot to say thank you, Austin, for the super chat. And thank you, Sergio, for the super chat. And Mohammed, I hope you figure out the super chat thing where it disappeared. I don't know what that's about. So let's see. Varicose veins. Varicose veins. You want to let me just like these things. I always like to do that. Varicose veins. How do they come about? And why do they happen in the legs? You don't really, can you get varicose veins other places? Yes. Where do they tend to happen? In the legs. Think of spider veins as just teeny tiny varicose veins. Okay. They have different names, but they're basically the same thing. Okay. So in the blood vessels in your legs, right? The ones that are coming back to your heart, they have to push against gravity, right? You have to move the blood against gravity. This is why people tend to get swelling in their legs that they don't get in their arms. Because the arms are closer to the heart and there's not as much stuff in there. And you tend to use your arm. A lot of people nowadays don't get out that much. Even during the day, they're moving their arms around, but they may not be walking much. They may be sitting a lot of the day. So varicose veins, think of the blood vessels going up the legs. So blood is going this way. There are valves in the legs. Valves and blood vessels all over your body. So what they do is as the heart pumps, it moves the blood up past this valve. The valve is like, they're angled like this. So it pumps it up past it. As it pumps, it opens the valve. So the blood moves up. And then as the heart relaxes, gravity, the blood starts falling down, right? Because of gravity. So it pumps it up and then it starts to fall down. It falling down makes the valve snap shut. It actually so if these valves were at an angle and the blood was falling down, it would actually push the valve to shut. Okay. So that is like, think of it as a ladder up your legs. As your heart pumps, it moves it past the valves. The valves close shut so it doesn't sink even further. And then the heart pumps again. It pushes the valve open. Blood goes up. It falls a little bit. It snaps the valve shut. That's how blood vessels work especially in your legs, but that's all throughout the body. It's most important in your legs because that's where you work against gravity the most all day. So what is a varicose vein? It's when there's too much back pressure from the blood on a valve. So eventually it breaks the valve. That's it. So then you start to get stagnated blood and a swelling of that blood vessel because you're not moving the blood through it well. You just have stagnation. So what does the body generally do if it needs to? It will make other blood vessels that go around that break. The problem with varicose veins, the aesthetic problem that we really don't like, and sometimes the pain problem, is that the body doesn't go and fix it. It just leaves it. It's just like, look, man, I got others. This is a thing the body often does. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the body will just be like, it's there. I got other things to deal with, man. Like, just leave it alone. It's not going to kill you. You can think of your body like having a conversation. It's like, I'm just going to leave that there. I don't have enough time or energy or resources. Look, we're toxic. So we'll get into why the varicose veins happen often. It's like, we're toxic. Liver's not working so well. We got other things to do, man. That's just a broken blood vessel. I'll just make some alternative routes around it. So like I said, spider veins are the same thing. You see the pooled blood in the spider veins, and it looks kind of purplish or like almost a bruise color in that vein, or it's just red or whatever, it's red or dark blue or some purple, something in between it. Okay. Baptized in Fire said he's late. It's his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Baptized in Fire. I hope you enjoy your food today. And whether you choose to be strict today or not, totally up to you, folks. You don't have to be perfect all the time. Live a little, right? And even if you do live a little and you pay a little price, then go, okay, cool. I got to enjoy it while it happened. And then I paid a little price. So then you get to decide. You get an educated decision the next time whether you want to do it or not, or how far you want to go. So back to the varicose veins. Okay. So think about this. All of the blood that's coming up your legs that has gone out around in your body, the blood that's in your legs, the deoxygenated blood as it comes back, is going to go through your liver. What do we talk a lot about here? We talk about the liver. So if, let's say your liver is congested, full of toxins, running slow, fatty liver, maybe there's just not enough movement going on in your day, then you build up back pressure from the liver downward. Hey, where do varicose veins show up? Spider veins show up in the legs mainly. Legs are below the liver, aren't they? Arms technically come out above the liver. So everything below the liver is under more pressure. So if you have more back pressure, you tend to blow out more veins. That's just the way it is. Like a hemorrhoid is a varicose vein of your butt. Same thing. Okay. So is there a way to make them go away? Like naturally? Not really. You can try some of the other things, the silica things and all that stuff. I've never seen them work well to make something that already exists go away. What you can do is, if you do the right things, you can stop them from forming, like more of them from forming. It's like a lot of people with like neurodegenerative issues, they may not be able to reverse it, but they could stop the progression. Like when we went to see a neurologist for my mom's Parkinson's-like syndrome, she was 3 years into it or more, and the neurologist was saying, "Wow, you got these symptoms, but you're not falling all the time yet. You're not." She was just asking all these questions. You're not doing this. You're not having this. You're not having this symptom. You're not having this problem. You're not having this. And she was like, "This is amazing, considering you haven't been on meds." And it's probably 8 years, or maybe not 8 years, like 6 years later than we saw her. And my mom is still doing quite well, considering. I mean, that neurologist would have wanted her on multiple meds and all this stuff to try to slow the progression, but we have drastically slowed the progression. Neurodegenerative diseases, folks, you don't hear about people who like fix them, and you may read about studies where they're like, "Oh, thiamine helped this," but then you're not seeing videos of people like 10 years later saying, "Oh, it's all gone." Neurodegenerative diseases, toxicity in the brain is super hard to reverse. That's just the way it is. So you don't want to be taking in tons of copper, which accumulates in your brain and is associated with neurodegenerative diseases. You don't want to be taking in tons of manganese, which is literally associated with Parkinson's. Literally, like, go and look up manganese and Parkinson's. Don't mess with it. Okay. Okay, well, we'll get to Muhammad's question. So the varicose veins, like there's I forget what I did. When I first came out of naturopathic medical school, I actually worked in an aesthetic cosmetic business as the physician there. I forget the name of it, but there's like an injection treatment, sclerosing therapy. And that was mainly for like spider veins or small varicose veins where the process was an injection of a mostly sodium based, it's sodium attached to something else. So it's not just the sodium that's doing it, it's the other stuff. But what it would do, people wanted, aesthetically, they wanted their spider veins to be gone. Well, you inject this into the system. This is not going to be the healthiest thing. And I'm not proud of my days doing this. However, somebody out there was going to do it. And it solidified in me that I didn't want to do that. So for those of you who may have had jobs you've regretted or things you've done in the past that you regretted, if it helped you move towards and figure out what you wanted to do, and you're doing the right thing for yourself now, or you're moving that way, that's important. Like a lot of times we need to figure out what we don't want to do so we can then figure out what we do want to do. Right? The easiest way to know you don't like something is to taste it. You taste and you go, no, that is not for me. So I did that. But what you're injecting this sodium something solution into the little spider vein. And what it does is it causes the vein, before it dilutes through the system, when you do it right by that blood vessel, it basically creates over the next couple days scarring that closes that blood vessel. It's just a little spider vein. Your body's not going to miss it. It's already made new pathways around it. So then the color of it goes away because by the fact that it scarred shut, there's no more blood in there. So the purplish bluish color disappears from the spider vein. So aesthetically, it looks fine. It looks like the rest of your skin. The problem is you just injected stuff that once it does its damage to that surface vein, it's still floating around your system. So what is it doing? Hopefully it's diluted enough that it's not causing problems. Cosmetic aesthetic medicine is kind of medieval and they don't really care that much about the fallout. So, with your hair, well, I was the hair regrowth program. I'm very glad your hair stopped falling out from the Love Your Liver program. That is very good. Getting hair to come back. Well, I'm working on the hair regrowth program. It's going to be separate from the Love Your Liver program. I'm working on that. The plan is to get it out very soon. I had to work on those Substack articles. That kind of became a pressing concern that I felt the need to reply to. So when you guys see this series of articles, you'll understand that when I say that I probably put more research, more time and research and thought into this series of articles. We're probably looking at 3 or 4 articles right now. The amount of time and research that I put into those Substack articles that are going to come out is more, I was telling Kelsey this the other day, is more than any single live stream that I've done. So when you see these, if you're impressed at how much evidence and time and research and thought and logic I put into them, yeah, I am too. I did a lot in those. I was very disappointed in Grant's blog post, and I felt compelled to respond. So anyway, so let's get to Austin's super chat. Thoughts on not getting any DHA in pregnancy? Thank you. Well, okay, if you're eating grass-fed beef, you're getting EPA and DHA. You always have been. That's it. And your body converts. So if you're getting the basic, I think it was ALA can be converted by your body into EPA and DHA. If you're getting fatty acids in your diet enough, you're going to have enough for your body to convert. Is it quite possible that a lot of people feel like they need or they benefit from more EPA and DHA in supplements or wherever because they're vitamin A toxic and they're not converting it well? Imagine that, vitamin A inhibiting fat-related processes in the body. We don't see a need for it. We see people who are mothers who are having kids and the child or the children they had after they started the Love Your Liver program is healthier than the ones that came before. We had one mother who was doing other things, and she was taking folic acid and other things like this, and she had every one of her kids prior to that had cleft lip or cleft palate. She starts doing our stuff, and she's like, well, what am I going to do about folic acid? And I said, beans. Like, beans have plenty of folate. She said, okay. So she does the Love Your Liver program, and the next child after that did not have a cleft lip or cleft palate, whichever one it was. I think it was a cleft lip. Or there may have been tongue ties involved, cleft lips. Like it was, I think her kids had a mixture of these things. Well, what do you know? Vitamin A causes cleft lip and cleft palates and tongue ties. And excessive folic acid can cause cleft lips, tongue ties, cleft palates. Vitamin A in the body is known to deplete folate. So not folic acid. Folic acid, just generally you should avoid it. Don't take folic acid. Just like don't take niacinamide, don't take folic acid. Hey, wait. What do they fortify our flowers with? Folic acid, niacinamide. What an interesting choice. Did you know that the UK now requires flowers to be fortified with calcium? Interesting choice, wouldn't you say? Are they really after our health benefit? Why would they do that if everybody's deficient in calcium truly, and they needed to fortify bread so they could give everybody more calcium? I got my suspicions. You know what I mean? Okay, so Austin said, thanks, makes sense. My wife and I couldn't find much on the DHA topic. She eats grass-fed beef. Yeah, I don't really talk about it much because we haven't seen a problem with it. I mean, people could eat such low fat that they could have issues. Yes. But I haven't seen that happen except in somebody who was doing, this is the only time I've seen like a significant fat deficiency that wasn't like just overall calories. We had somebody who was eating all chicken breast and then doing like beans and grains, and they were not adding any fat anywhere in their diet. She started getting some dry skin. She talks to me about it. I said, why don't you just add like a tablespoon of oil to your day? She did. Issue disappeared. A tablespoon of oil in a day to an basically fat-free diet fixed the fat deficiency. Okay. So I just don't share I don't share the fat philia or the fat loving thing that so many people out there do. Okay. Mohammed's chat. I'm on Love Your Liver for 4 months, slowly recovering. Unfortunately, a chemical got into my eye. I work in chemicals. The chemical is lipophilic. My brain is cooking. Can you describe that more? Is your body able to detox chemicals from the brain? Actually, you know what? Can you give me the chemical, Mohammed? IBCH benzyl benzoate. Okay. Is that so if I wanted to look it up on the web, is that like, what are the exact terms? Make sure you type it out, because I don't know what IBCH DEP is. I do not suspect it got into my eyes, washed. Unfortunately, it's oily and it got into the red part of the eye. Okay. Well, let me go look. Let me go see something. I wish Kelsey was here right now. She'd know where to look this stuff up. Hold on. Let me go back and see if he... So what was it? IBCH DEP benzyl benzoate. I mean, if that's what I got. I don't know if the DEP means depot, as in like a fat. They actually call, you often say with steroids, they call them depot or depot because it's like fat soluble, and they're meaning to put it in there because it's a slow breakdown. It's a slow release into the system. So let me see. Oh, whoa. Now we got something different. IBCH diethyl. Oh, phthalate. Okay. Here, let me. Let me see if I can find anything. Here, Joe, you can share this. Well, I just want to look at, there's probably a general detoxification thing here. Could accumulate. Yes. I know this may not be the exact one. DBP exposure induced the different responses of 3 cytochrome P450s. Okay. Malondialdehyde accumulation. So it's probably slowing. Okay, so there's probably PGP involved here. There's probably ALDH involved here, as usual. I would, Muhammad, if it were me with this issue, I would definitely be, I wouldn't be trying to, well, I'll tell you some of the things that somebody might do. First, I'd be doing flesh niacin. Absolutely. I would be doing flesh niacin. Then I would be, let me see, Joe's typing to me. I would be possibly doing some sort. Now this is okay. If you're going to do this, you don't want to get things in your eye, right? But if things are around your eye, you could do something like a poultice where you're going to have your eye closed. You're not putting any of this stuff on your eyeball. I'm not putting this stuff on my eyeball, but you could make something like a charcoal poultice, or even charcoal and zeolite poultice or something. So charcoal poultice, typical recipe, guys. It's equal parts of psyllium and charcoal and enough water to make it into kind of like a mask, like a face mask kind of consistency. You don't do just charcoal and water because it's too thin and the water just evaporates. And when there's no water in it, it stops being able to move compounds out. So it needs to be wet. The psyllium holds the water, so it doesn't let it all go. So the psyllium makes it kind of into a, more gel-y consistency. The charcoal's there to soak up stuff. The psyllium's going to soak up stuff too. Make sure it's organic psyllium. And so you can make a charcoal poultice, and you would just, keep your eye closed, and you could apply it over the eye. And then when you're going to get up, you're going to keep your eye closed the whole time, and then you would wash it off. I would try to give it 20 minutes. I would try to. Generally 20 minutes is kind of the time that we go by. So you could do you could do local applications of those like binders, and you could do an internal. Your body's going to be trying to detox that stuff. And where's it going to put it? Into your bile. Where's your bile go? Into your gut. So then you could be doing, the flesh niacin would be running the detox pathways to detox it. And then whether you're doing soluble fiber or charcoal or zeolite, those are going to be going through your gut, absorbing the bile and then helping you poop it out. So you'd also want to make sure you were pooping, that you're not constipated. So that's a simple explanation. And also, the less fat soluble toxins you're taking in, the more energy and resources your body has to devote towards dealing with other fat soluble toxins. So yeah, I would just work on the basics. You could do a local application if you want to. Just make sure, folks, we don't apply anything to our eyeball. Isobornyl hexanal. Oh man. What did he say? let me see. Joe, did you have that up? Borno, isobornyl hexanal. Well, Mohammed, I don't know what you did or what's required of you, but I would definitely be making sure you're wearing eye protection. Synthetic aroma chemical used in perfumery. Compound is a liquid soluble in alcohol and dipropylene glycol. Well. Oh, let's do this. Let's see what Environmental Working Group says about it. Isobornyl acrylate. Not a lot. But it's a phthalate. So we're going to be doing a lot of basically the same stuff that we do. So, and niacin, flush niacin can get into your brain and do detox there. That's actually, here's a funny thing. Let me explain another thing about flush niacin. So it is known in the research that flush niacin in high enough doses has basically helped schizophrenics to fix their problem. Okay. It's also known that schizophrenics don't flush until they've been on quite high doses. We're talking like 1,500, 2,500, 3,000 milligrams a day. They don't flush for a very long time. Like they never flush at the start, and they don't flush for a long time until their symptoms are starting to improve. Then they'll start flushing. What is the flush niacin likely doing? Why aren't they flushing? Yet why is it helping their schizophrenia over time? Because the flush niacin is going to their brain, doing its work there, and you're not getting, it's detoxing the brain. Do you have like sensation nerves in your brain? Like we don't have a lot of pain receptors in our brain. We don't have, feeling in our brain. So if the niacin goes there, if you were flushing in your brain, you wouldn't feel it. I hope not. It would probably feel like your brain was burning. But we don't have sensors in there. But what happens as these schizophrenics who are taking high doses of flush niacin, as it cleans out their brain, they don't use as much there eventually because it's getting cleaner. And then they start to flush on their skin. And the niacin, the flush niacin is doing this detoxing in the skin. And then they get symptoms in their skin, the flushing symptom. So I would definitely make flush niacin a part of your efforts if it were me. Now, if you're not flushing, that may be a sign that you could do some more. That it's going up there. That would be I would take that as a good sign. Okay, Susan says Muhammad needs a toxicologist. Better call the poison hotline. That's not a bad idea. They may know some things that could help you. Yeah. And then Muhammad says he makes perfumes. That's where that chemical is. So just make sure you're doing all your safety stuff, Muhammad. And yeah, I think calling the poison hotline or even sending a message to, let's say, some of the bigger poison control websites, they may have more information on this than, they would have more information on this than I do. They've probably dealt with this stuff before. You have what we've talked about here. And then if you decide to take it further, I would definitely just go try to get as much information as you can from these places where they deal with these things on a regular basis. Okay. So that was a good question. I wish I had better answers for it. Hold on one sec. Okay. So, okay. Let's keep going. We're out of, oh, here we go. Joe, I think this is the next one. I have a ferritin 324, saturation 49%, and a low red blood cell iron concentration of 31.2. I've been low vitamin A for a year, and this popped up. I have tested for all possibilities except a full liver panel. Your thoughts, please. Well, so do you have past iron labs that showed everything was normal prior to this? That's an important thing. So, and have you had iron issues in the past? And have you had liver issues that you know of in the past? That's what I would want. I would definitely get a liver panel. Yes. Let me go this. But thank you for the super chat. Yes, we have what you are looking at, what those labs are showing. First of all, I'm going to be honest, y'all. I don't use red blood cell tests because they're all over the board. Like they're not consistent. We'll have people who, have hair tests and blood tests for magnesium, and then they get a red blood cell magnesium, and that it just says they're fine. Like red blood cell magnesium will often say people are fine, while multiple other tests say that they're absolutely not. So, I missed Luxury Curated. Sorry, I'll get to your super chat soon, Luxury Curated. Sorry, I missed that. I was not reading my messages from Joe in order as well as I could have. So I will get to that. Don't worry, I didn't forget you. I just clicked on the last super chat. So 324. First of all, yeah. So this is called iron dysregulation, where you have a low red blood cell. So your iron in your red blood cells is low, yet you have high ferritin. So you have high iron some places and low iron other places. The issue here is that most other practitioners out there, or you read on the internet or whatever, they'll say, well, if your iron stuff, they kind of generalize it into two things. They're like, if your iron's low, do these things. And they'll say, if your ferritin's high, do these things. And they're totally the opposite. And then people like yourself, where you have mixed labs, where you got some are saying high iron, some are saying low iron, you don't know what to do. Which button do you push? Well, this is when it is rooted in the liver. It's absolutely rooted in the liver. Now, we've seen stuff where I'm assuming you've tested for hemochromatosis, iron overload, genetic iron overload. You said thanks, Doc. Well, so anyway, so I would look into a liver panel. Yes. You said all your iron tests were fine last year and you never were diagnosed with liver problems. Okay. So something that, well, first we would look at whenever we see iron, like ferritin going up a lot. If you have, I'm throwing this out there. If you have greatly increased your red meat consumption with your version of a love your liver diet, that may not be working for you. It's as simple as that, folks. Just because the original prison diet of Grant's was written with red meat, beef or bison 3 times a day, does not mean that the whole thing for everybody is best done with red meat 3 times a day. I'm not against red meat. I'm just saying an excessive amount of red meat for a person over the long term, if somebody changed it. We actually had this, I think a week or two ago, on my last Q&A, where somebody was talking about how they switched to rabbit meat, which has even more heme iron than beef. And their ferritin went up. And I was like, I think you need to get off of that. And then we did this little investigation, and we found out that was it. I'm sorry, I didn't say that we found that out. I'm saying that became the most likely suspect because she drastically changed her diet to include more red meat, and it just so happened to be rabbit, which is even higher in heme iron than red meat. So this is why we run ferritins in our packages. Is so we can watch this happen. Now, if someone had a high ferritin like that, I might recommend to them, or my facilitators might recommend to them, the option of doing some blood donations. That will help bring it down. You can do a blood donation every 8 weeks. Blood donations tend to lower ferritin scores about 50 points a donation. Although the higher somebody is when they start, the bigger the drops. It's just the way it is. So if you go and you donate and you feel better immediately, like maybe for a couple days or a week, then that is a good sign that you got some of that bad stuff out. It may not just be iron. It may not just be the high ferritin too. Baptized in fire, I don't know. This person did the research and that was what they found. And yeah. Okay, so IM369 says, I definitely have increased the red meat a lot and recently been eating a lot more chicken and turkey. Okay, quick question. You had increased the red meat a lot. When you increased the chicken and turkey, I'm assuming you did less red meat. Did you start feeling better when you did that? Or did you ever notice that maybe you didn't feel great eating red meat? I'm just waiting for his response. This is an important thing. I'll just say this while we're waiting. Folks, I don't tell people they have to eat red meat. I don't do that. People choose to do that. I tell people here that I probably eat chicken or turkey like at least once, if not half the time. Because I noticed I just don't feel great when I eat red meat at every meal. Okay, I'm adjusting it for myself. If you are out there and you're doing lots of red meat or red meat at every meal and you're steadily not feeling good, or let's say you run a ferritin and it's higher than it used to be, you might be eating more red meat than your body likes. Okay? It's just the way it is. Like, so yeah, if somebody wants to answer A's question in the chat, the thing we don't talk about here, the 3-letter term, the borine trioxide, you can tell them about it. In the chat, it's fine for you to do that. I'm just not going to do it here. Okay, so we have holy cow. Susan said, I wanted folks to know that my height has been restored. Doctor measured from 5'5", 165 centimeters to 5'7", 170 centimeters. 3 years, love your liver, was 172 centimeters 40 years ago. So she was 172 40 years ago. She went down a little bit to 165. 3 years of love your liver, she's now says she's at 170 centimeters. So she's regaining some of the lost height that she had over the years. So that's really cool. Okay, so IM369 says, I came to this way of eating low vitamin A from carnivore. I left carnivore because I felt like crap. Okay. So, okay, so IM369, were you doing like all red meat carnivore, or were you doing nose to tail? This is important. Now, let me say this. It is known in the research that vitamin A increases the retention of iron from food. This is in the literature all over the place. And this is one of the reasons they say vitamin A is so good. Now, imagine if somebody had tons of vitamin A stuck in their liver and they start doing the low vitamin A diet and they start detoxing more vitamin A. And so all of a sudden there's all this vitamin A is coming out and the liver's doing all of this dance to try to deal with the vitamin A and the iron and all this stuff. I mean, we've seen it. Let me tell you, we've had people who go along and IM369, this is not a terrible thing that's going on. We've had people who their liver enzymes are normal and they know they've been doing things that we don't do, that we advise against. And then they start doing the love your liver approach or just a low vitamin A approach, and they start feeling better. And yet then they go and they run, let's say, a liver panel, a CMP, and they see that their liver enzymes have gone up. Well, if people were misinformed or they didn't have patterns like I do, and they didn't have people out there who trusted me to test these things out, their liver enzymes go up and they say, but I'm feeling better. Like, I feel better. I like eating this way. I feel better, but my liver enzymes went up. I say, okay, this has happened. I said, you're seeing the symptoms are improving. Your body is running better. I'm going to suggest, if it were me, you don't freak out about the liver enzymes. As we went over in the MSG article or the MSG video, What compound do the liver enzymes make? They make glutamate. So when your liver is under stress and you see your liver enzymes go up, AST, ALT, GGT, go and chat GPT it. What do the liver enzymes make? They make glutamate. When your liver is in trouble, it tries to make more glutamate. Oh, it must be so terrible. Your liver is trying to poison you with excitotoxins, or your liver knows what it's doing and it's built to do the right thing. So imagine this, if your liver was stressed, or how could we take stress off your liver and allow it to do other things? Well, if we gave it some glutamate that it could use, it doesn't have to make it. And then it could use that energy that it was going to use to make glutamate via the liver enzymes to do other things. So, oh yeah, the reflux coach asked, what type of niacin should you take for a fatty liver? Well, the only niacin that we talk about, when we talk about niacin, we talk about flush niacin, aka nicotinic acid. That's what we talk about. I'm getting quotes now on some pre-buffered niacin products. Don't email Julie. Come on. Don't ask her when it's going to be out. I'm just getting quotes right now, so I have no idea. So again, if you email Julie, I'm going to tell Julie, tell them I said not to email her. You're going to feel silly. Do I have any timeline on it? No, I don't. We're working on all sorts of things. There's all sorts of products that we are working on. Okay, so IM369 said he was all red meat all the time and very small pieces of liver 3 times a week. I started feeling dehydrated on the carnivore diet all the time, and then I came across you on X, and your messages resonated. So yeah, all red meat all the time. Not everybody's built for that. Like, and we get to figure it out. Like my ferritin used to be, I don't know, when I started doing the low vitamin A thing, it was only like 110, but it's higher than I wanted. And after a couple of years of doing the approach, like my ferritin came down in a range. Now, one other thing, so I would say, I am 369. I do think it might help to get, if I were in your situation, knowing that I tolerate blood donations, fine. If I had that ferritin, I would go do some blood donations. Another thing that I'm going to bring this up, and people think, it's funny with that article that Grant wrote, that people think I'm just all about pushing supplements all the time. I'm going to tell you something. Some people in the early days of their Love Your Liver approach, where we're still fixing the liver, too much lactoferrin for the wrong person could raise your ferritin. Oop. What happened to my audio? What just happened? Looks all right. Okay, no, it looks all right.
Your audio's okay.
Okay. Sometimes I get this announcement on the screen. It says your audio source changed or whatever. And I'm like, I think we need to switch streaming services. Get these weird things. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, so obviously you were getting vitamin A from the liver, all red meat all the time. You said you didn't feel good over time. So we have an indicator that, there could be tons of iron stored in your liver that didn't show up. It wasn't coming out. This is one of the things, folks. Your liver will store and store and store and store and store until it's overflowing. And then sometimes you start leaking things out later. If you haven't seen IM369, if you haven't seen my ferritin episode, I would go watch the ferritin live stream. That's a whole live stream devoted to that. Yeah, so let me see. Okay, so yeah, Luxury Created said, yo, yeah, I'm going to get to yours now. So I hope that helps. IM369, those are the things. So maybe if you're on lactoferrin, I would reduce or maybe take a break until later in the future when all this stuff is sorted out. I would do more, if you want to call it white, I would do white meat, or, there's not a lot of white meats that I go by other than chicken and poultry. I would try to stick with more of those than red meat. For now, I would definitely, if you want to go get some more labs, you can. But again, the labs aren't going to change what we would do. You may want to consider doing some blood donations to help accelerate that process. And then now we'll get to, Austin says he's good on his end. Okay, so let's get into, okay, so IM369 said, thank you for everything, and I will definitely look into donating blood. Awesome. we are hopefully soon, we are going to be redoing the website and rebranding. Hopefully soon, we're going to be offering, more blood work packages that people can order on their own. If you just want to get like a vitamin A panel where you get vitamin A, you get serum retinol, and you get retinol binding protein, and you get beta carotene. Just because you want to look in detail at your vitamin A, we'll have lab packages like that where you can just order the labs. You don't have to get any analysis at all. You can just order your own labs. So we'll probably be doing that soon. We'll have probably a calcium panel and an iron panel and a vitamin A panel, and we'll have other things. So for those who want to look into their stuff, you can do it. I think people should be able to order whatever labs they want. Anything you want to do to look inside your body, I believe you should have the right to do it. You don't need a doctor's permission to do it. That's not the rules these days. A lot of times you need different states, you need a doctor's, note, a requisition to do it. Well, I'm here to help people to do that. So, okay. Oh yeah, luxury curated. Let's get to this one. I've come to the conclusion that the thyroid is deeply involved in intracellular redox balance. Any thoughts on or experience with organic germanium? Okay, so let me see what they say. My basic postulations are this. The thyroid has an unusually large amount of lymphatic drainage, blood flow, and is the most prone to autoimmune disease of any organ because it has an extremely... We're waiting for the next one. So, well, let me just go into organic germanium. And A asked, do you need to buffer 25 milligrams of nicotinic acid? We don't advise, Kelsey and I, when we got into the buffering nicotinic acid stuff, she kind of came up with the number of, she didn't think anybody needs to buffer until they're at 200 milligrams or more a day. 200 milligrams or more. But what we're going to be doing in the future, like I'm working on, all of our flush niacin products will be pre-buffered. All of them. We're not going to sell unbuffered niacin anymore because too many people who I thought were smarter than they decided to be, we gave them distinct instructions and they way over buffered. People who should have known better and should have followed the instructions way over buffered. And then they tried to blame niacin for their problems. Okay, there's entire diseases named about people taking too much alkalizing stuff. It's called milk alkali syndrome, which was caused by people drinking too much milk and taking calcium carbonate, particularly. Or there's calcium alkali syndrome, which is taking too many calcium supplements and then taking alkalizing supplements, which would be things like calcium carbonate or taking too much baking soda. There are entire diseases named around people taking too much alkaline stuff. So if you're going to take alkalizing stuff like calcium carbonate over the long term, just so you know, metabolic alkalosis sneaks up on people and it doesn't go away right away. That's why I talk about this in the calcium episode. Like, you want to go and mess around, calcium alkalizes, carbonate alkalizes. You go and start doing high doses of that stuff, good luck. Okay, so let me see the other posts here we got. So, well, thyroid disease. Okay, so luxury curated. You're getting into like lots of theoretical mechanisms here. Okay. I tend to, so some people are disappointed because I don't go as deep into mechanisms as they like to or they want to. What do we have here? Well, we regularly see people who are able to get off their thyroid medications on their own doing our stuff, whether they're working with me or one of the other facilitators, or they're doing it on their own, just the love your liver thing. So somebody might say, well, Dr. Smith, you don't understand all the mechanisms of thyroid. And I go, but I fix them. So it's kind of unheard of out there for most places to get people off of thyroid hormone. Most doctors will tell people, if I put you on thyroid hormone, you're never getting off of it. That's the normal thing. Many of you who are probably in the chat know this. Well, we don't work that way. So let me say organic germanium. Let me get into that. I had on the hair test that we do, the trace elements hair test, there's germanium in the additional elements section, the bottom section. They measure germanium. It's the very first mineral there. And I decided when I was very early on in this, I read about germanium, and people were taking mega doses of it as an anti-cancer thing. Okay. I started thinking, well, I'll start messing around with it. So I started taking it, and it's expensive, right? But I found that for most people, I think it's 150 microgram pill. It's the one from Allergy Research, the organic germanium. One pill a week of 150 micrograms, if I recall correctly, that was the dose. It's whatever the Allergy Research Group or the Nutricology organic germanium pill is. It's micrograms, I believe. That raised people, one pill a week raised people into the middle of the range for whatever trace elements has as the range for organic germanium. I don't memorize it because I don't use it anymore. And I have people doing this. Myself, I did it first. That's how I figured out how it worked. And then I thought, well, this seems to, I don't know, it seems like it's important. It's kind of like the new lithium fad, which is going to die off again. Lithium fads have been around. The lithium orotate, low dose lithium, the fads have been around again and again and again. Calcium carbonate fads have been around again and again and again. Do you know that there was the coral calcium fad of the early 2000s? What is coral calcium? It's calcium carbonate. Had a bunch of people thinking that if they just took tons of coral calcium, it would fix all of their trace mineral problems. It would fix all of their calcium problems. Everything was a low alkalinity. All disease was low alkalinity or high pH. I'm sorry, it was low pH, acidic pH. And then people would just take calcium carbonate to raise their pH, and they would fix all their diseases. You guys know that the calcium carbonate coral calcium fad died off. Completely died off because it didn't work. Mega dosing calcium, the SIPI protocol, or the SIPI approach. I talked about this in the calcium episode. It came and it died off, and it came again and it died off. Coral calcium, early 2000s, people taking tons of calcium carbonate. It came and it died off, and it's coming around again, and it will die off again. So the lithium fad, it will come, it will die off. Organic germanium, I tried it myself. I tried it with people. It was one pill a week, and they're expensive. It didn't do anything. Like I did the lithium orotate thing. I must have done that 10 years ago. You know what happened for most people? Nothing. Nothing happened. You know what happened to some people, including myself? Frequent urination. I knew one person who said, oh, it helps my sleep. I was like, okay, take it then. It was so unexciting that I stopped using it. So organic germanium, I still have one person who's been a client of mine since before the low vitamin A thing, who I started them on organic germanium. They don't watch the live stream. I wish they did, but I'd say hi to them. They don't watch the live stream, but they're still taking organic germanium. They're still doing, I think, yearly checkups with me. His germanium is right in the middle of the range. And he's just like, I just keep taking it because I want to. And I'm like, you don't have to take it anymore. It's not doing anything. And he goes, whatever. I'll just keep taking my one pill a week. And I said, okay. Doesn't seem to be getting toxic on him. His hair test shows that he's right in the middle of the range, which is what I found. So anyway, okay. So let me get to, since Luxury Curated did the super chat. Wow. You got a lot of posts here. Okay. So let me get to these. But so anyway, so what I'm saying, whatever is wrong with the thyroid for most people, we seem to be helping it. I have articles on my forum about how vitamin A just makes thyroid numbers go bonkers. It can make them go up and down, and hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, all that stuff. So, if vitamin A can cause thyroids to go all over the place, up or down, which is what autoimmune thyroid can be, it can be hyper or hypo, and we get rid of that problem, then we only have a certain amount of things to fix left. So I think this is going to be, let me just answer this real quick. Robina M says, any concerns taking niacin during hormone replacement therapy? I don't see any. I don't know of any. No. So let me get to Luxury Curated stuff. Okay. So we the first one, my basic postulations are this: the thyroid has an unusually large amount of lymphatic drainage, blood flow, and is the most prone to autoimmune disease of any organ because it has an extremely high concentration of electrons. As a result of all the iodine creating great danger for oxidative stress, this led me to question why the body would have all this iodine. Then I remembered that they insist on pushing iodide rather than iodine on us. I also looked into the nuclear iodine 131 and potassium iodide psyop and came to the conclusion that the electron content of the iodine must matter a lot, much more than we've been told. The logical conclusion then is that iodine must matter for the redox electron balance in cells, or for what electron balance in cells, or for what is going on inside of the nucleus of cells. After all, we've been lied to about what is going on in the cell nucleus. Okay. Here's what I mean, organic germanium, I haven't seen the treatment on it. Okay, so just so you know, my research on germanium, which was years ago, admittedly, I didn't see much negative about it. What I saw it on, and I'm not saying there isn't, it's not out there. It could be, it very well could be. What I saw was on this was like orthomolecular, like mega dosing cancer websites. Like they were talking about taking milligrams of germanium a day, like mega milligram doses of germanium a day. This would be like probably $30 a day of germanium dosing. It was crazy. I saw them talking about it. I thought, okay, well, maybe we could use a little bit of it. And that's what I experimented with. I didn't do any of the mega dosing. And I didn't notice a lot of improvement. Now, am I saying, could there possibly be? There could possibly be something that germanium does that other things don't do. When I look at hair tests, I regularly see whether people are well or not well or any of that stuff, germanium is way down. It's like as low as they measure. So people are walking around with practically no germanium in their systems. And when I tried to restore some of it, I didn't see big changes. That's all I know. So I just kind of go by the feedback. I haven't seen germanium. So if anybody out there wanted to experiment with germanium, like I said, the allergy research group, organic germanium, I believe it's called, I found with people that one pill of that a week, not a day, one pill a week. Now we don't sell it. One pill a week got people's levels into the quote unquote reference range on the test. Okay. Luxury Curated said, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. I mean, I'm just giving you my honest experience with it. And I mean, I'll put it this way. With did I actually say the 3 letters? I think I did. I think we're going to have to do some editing on this episode. Whoops. Okay. So we'll be figuring that out. So this video will likely be in the, yes, thank you, A. This video will be in the videos section. It will not be in the live section because I'm going to have to edit it as soon as it's done so it doesn't get taken down, because we've had that happen. And I did say the V word, and I did suggest that not doing it, so that may have to be taken out too. So remember, if you ever want to see the absolute full episodes without ever any editing, that's on Rumble. That's on our Rumble channel. Joe, if you want to show that. So we got that. Now the thing about the bad 3-letter word, the bad 3-letter thing, the borine trioxide, is that they literally won't, websites will do their best to not let people sell it. They have to sell it as water purification drops and all sorts. They have to do these dances around it. Like it's actually literally, they will try to not let people sell it. That's like the allergy research group, organic germanium, places can sell it. Like places can sell that no problem. As far as I know, I haven't looked into it again. Maybe things change. But when something is literally banned and blacklisted and people have to do jump through hoops to just list it, simple chemicals, and call it something else for something else, that's where you start to know that that is probably something that could be very helpful. So, oh, I don't know. You said apologies. I don't know what you're apologizing for. No, there's nothing to apologize for. It's a good question. It's a great question. I haven't talked about organic germanium in a very, very long time. But like I said, if you want to mess with it, that's fine. Actually, somebody I knew, like I said, with the lithium orotate, I think they said they did half a tablet at night and it really helped them sleep. And I was like, they're taking half of a low dose lithium orotate tablet at night because it really helps them sleep. And this person had huge insomnia problems. I was like, take it. That's fine. And the guy who's taking the organic germanium, I'm like, I don't see any problem with it. So go ahead if you want to take it, if you want to spend the money on it and it doesn't seem to be causing any problems, but you don't notice any benefits from it. I mean, what am I going to do? It's his life. So, A says, so I can assume it works if it's banned. Well, it's either going to be one of two things. It's either it works or it's really, 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 really toxic. Now I can tell you that I've taken it myself and many other people have taken it. You can go find the Universal Antidote group on Telegram. There's other groups that you can find. You can go to, I can't say the 3 letters. So it's the 3 letters, testimonials.co. Let me just make sure that's the right website. I'm not going to put it on the screen, so I don't have any extra to edit out. Yep, that's it. So the 3 letters straight into the word testimonials.co. And you can go and you can search it for, put in the words of what you're looking for it to maybe help. Now, on that note, the 3-letter thing, the borine trioxide, it is not a daily thing that you take forever. It is something that you use for a specific issue. And when that issue goes away, you stop using it. And then if it comes up again, you can use it again, but it's not a multivitamin. It's not a daily supplement. Use it for something and then let it go. Because, okay, we can overdo anything. If you take an oxidizing agent every day, you could eventually, so if you take calcium carbonate, an alkalizing agent every day, you could over time over-alkalize yourself. If you took way too much acidic stuff over time, you could very easily, you could make yourself too acidic over time. This all makes sense, right? So if you take antioxidants, like people when we used to eat all the brightly colored fruits and vegetables, and we were doing all that, and we're taking supplements, mega dose supplements of vitamin C and vitamin E and all these antioxidant things, you could over antioxidate yourself or over reduce, as they call it. If you take oxidizing agents, too much of them for whatever your situation is over time, you could over oxidize yourself. So with these things that are strong in pushing your chemistry, you know, if they're not essential nutrients, like they say zinc is an antioxidant, I'm like, I don't care. You need zinc, point blank. Like when we're talking about essential nutrients, is borine trioxide an essential nutrient? No. So we use it and we get out. Zinc, well, they say it's an antioxidant. Okay, whatever. We need it. We take it. Right? Okay, so A says he understands. Thank you. Or she, I'm sorry, they understand. P Miller 714 says lithium orotate works on me. Great. Like low dose, I'm not worried about it. Actually, you want to know something funny about lithium on a hair test? I had people taking it for a while. Like I said, I had people regularly doing it. I read all the stuff on the orotates, the mineral orotates, magnesium orotate and potassium orotate and zinc orotate. And I thought, this guy was a genius. I can't believe everybody's not using them. I use them and I was like, these don't really work. I tried all the orotates. I gave up on all of them. You go on the internet, you read about orotates and everybody's like peeing their pants excited about them. And I'm like, nah, it doesn't work. They talk about it like it should, and they quote a couple of papers. And then you try it on people and it's like, but could lithium orotate? Well, you're not going to get that much other places. So do I think it's the orotate or do I think it's the lithium? Lithium, could do something. Sure. I mean, lithium's obviously a pharmaceutical drug in high doses, lithium carbonate. So could low dose lithium orotate do something? I've seen it do something. Is it something that I saw worked enough to recommend to people on a regular basis? No. Okay. Kelsey, I don't know if you see that super chat from SG Golan. If you want to answer that, I'll get into, I'll do my answer for it. Okay. Oh, she already asked how much is he or she taking. So basically, let's talk about flush niacin potentially causing dry skin. Okay. And thank you for the super chat, SG Golan. I didn't miss any, Joe, did I? I don't think I did. Oh, and thank you for the super chat, Robina M. This is the last question. Then I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. Okay. How to ease flush niacin scalp folliculitis symptoms. Okay. Folks, we store tons of toxicity in our skin and our subcutaneous fat. The fat layer, subcutaneous, below cutaneous skin. Subcutaneous fat is the fat. Yeah, I got that one, Joe. Subcutaneous fat is the fat under your skin. We store toxins in our skin layer and in our subcutaneous fat layer. How do we know that we store fat there? And I'm going to let Kelsey keep in the live chat, keep talking with him about it while I do my thing here. Well, when people take too much, when people eat vitamin A, it's funny that people are out there saying natural vitamin A doesn't do the same things as synthetic vitamin A. And you're like, well, can both, from either one of them, can people get color changes in their skin? Yes. People can drink too much carrot juice and literally turn yellow or orange. And that's all natural. Okay. So we store toxins in our skin. This is easily shown with vitamin A, where people turn yellow or orange. And we had a woman who, a past client of mine, who had a bunch of red palm oil around, and they brag that it's got all 8 members of the vitamin E family in it, the tocopherols and the tocotrienols. And she said she was trying to use it up. It tastes horrible, but she turned orange from it. So it's natural. She stored it in her skin. Okay, we can store fat-soluble toxins in our body fat. This should be obvious. I can't believe there's still people out there who are like, we don't store toxins. And it's like, oh my goodness. Seriously, just call it accumulate. If you want to go and watch, liposuction videos and see the color of the fat that is coming out of these people, it's like often orange. And I remember reading, I wish I still had this quote, but there was a plastic surgeon who was quoted on the internet as saying, I can tell when people are eating a healthy diet, because when we do the liposuction on them, first of all, they're fat. So he's doing liposuction on them. They're carrying extra fat. He says the fat is orange. Fat is not supposed to be orange. It's not supposed to be yellow. If you're getting beef that has, like, when it's cold, if you're getting beef that has yellow fat or orange fat, run. Don't eat, well, at least don't eat that fat at the minimum. But realize that those cows have been given tons of vitamin A. They're storing it in their fat. So anyway, we store vitamin A in these places. It's going to happen in your scalp too. So when you take anything that can cause detox, what do we talk about when things come out the skin? Well, that's the third route of detox in terms of the priority order. Oh, okay. I'll hit on that one. It comes out in a detox order. Your body wants to get rid of things. The best way it can get rid of things, the liver processes toxins into the bile. The bile goes into your intestine. You then hopefully are pooping regularly, so you can then poop out the bile that's in the poop or the binders that you take, and it leaves in a chunk, if you know what I mean. That's the best way. Now, if your body is leaking bile, toxic bile paradigm, episode 71, if your body is leaking bile, into the bloodstream, however it's getting there. Whether it's leaking out of the liver cells directly into the blood, whether it's leaking out of the liver bile ducts into the blood, whether it's leaking out of the big bile ducts into the blood, whether it's leaking through your leaky gut into the blood, whether it's going back up into your stomach and causing you reflux, and your stomach actually can directly absorb bile into the blood, however the bile is getting into your blood, then your kidneys deal with it. Okay? The blood has to go to the kidneys, and the kidneys make urine, and that's how the kidneys detox. So liver's the best option. The liver is made for this job. It can be overwhelmed though. Then we get to the kidneys, and then we get to the skin. The body doesn't want to push things out through the skin if it doesn't have to, right? That's why when you're healthy, you don't have skin issues. When you're unhealthy, you're pushing toxins out through the skin. They are irritating the skin on the way out. That's what the problem is. You're actually pushing toxins out on your skin. They're irritating on the way out, and then they sit there until you wash them off. This is why some skin conditions, if you wash often enough, it can be better because you're removing the toxin from the skin that was sitting there irritating it for all that time. Does that work with everything? No, some of these things are so caustic that it's going to cause a problem. What about the toxins that come through your skin and then you start making cysts, cystic acne, things of this nature? Your body's storing it there to try to keep it away from everything else. So people might get dry skin from flesh niacin, especially in the beginning. Now, here's what I can tell you. Does it typically go away on its, even if you kept taking the niacin? Am I saying you have to do this? No. If you kept taking the niacin, over time, that would go away. Now, in Grant's article, he talks about somebody taking flesh niacin and reporting that they got eczema from it. Well, I'm going to tell you that person took way too much. Maybe they did something like, oh, they just decided, well, I'm not going to take this little 25 milligram pill. We got a 500 milligram pill. I'm going to start there. Do people make bad decisions all the time and blame others? Yes, they do. They do it all the time. That's why we start with a 25 milligram pill, or even people can get powders and start with even less. So if somebody got dry skin, so if somebody got eczema from like a single dose of niacin, they are super duper toxic. Not their fault. Not my fault. They took a big dose of niacin. They dumped a bunch of bile into their system because niacin does increase bile production. Anything that detoxes you over time will increase your bile production. That's a healthy thing. You want to be making bile and to get rid of it. That's how your body's trying to detox you. But if you're too soon, be just like if you were in the weight room and you're not very strong and you decide to go and try to lift too heavy a weight, you could hurt yourself. Don't do that. Okay, so first of all, if you're taking enough flesh niacin that you're getting symptoms you don't like, cut your dose in half. Again, how many supplement people out there tell you to take less of their stuff like I do? So if you're getting symptoms, take less. Take a smaller dose until your symptoms are acceptable for you. But generally we start with cutting it in half and then cutting it in half again. So down, you go from whatever dose you had issues with to a half a dose, see how that goes, then maybe drop down to a quarter dose. And if you still don't like what's going on, do you have to take flesh niacin? No, not at all. You don't have to take it at all. So then, dry skin, if that was an issue, at the dose you're getting that at, like you could again reduce it. If you kept taking the flesh niacin at the dose that was causing that issue, would it eventually go away? That's what we've seen. It would eventually go away because it's a detox reaction coming out your skin. It's irritating your skin enough to make it dry. Okay? That's it. So is it a big problem? If you don't like it, if it's a problem for you, reduce. Can you always take a break to let it kind of get back to normal? Sure. Oftentimes, if let's say somebody had a dry skin issue from flesh niacin, and they took, what we see is when people, even with, let's say somebody's having issues with lactoferrin, somebody's having issues with flesh niacin, if they listen to the instructions and they take a break and they come back to it later, then oftentimes they've detoxed enough by then that the problem doesn't come back. So as opposed to people claiming that lactoferrin is toxic or that flush niacin toxicity is happening, no, they're just taking a bigger dose than their body's ready for. And they're not following the instructions. And sometimes the instructions are, you don't take it. That's okay. So anyway, yeah, Kelsey was just saying the same thing that I did. She said, okay, you can go down one of two ways here as far as nicotinic acid. You can go back down to half or so, or you can push through and go higher to get over the mid doses hump. Yeah, that is one thing. Kelsey has talked about that too. Like, think about it. If you're having issues at a specific dose of flush niacin, am I telling people to do this? Am I telling you to do it? No. Am I saying this is an option? Some people are of the type where they're like, I don't like what's going on. Can I push through it? This can actually be done with flush niacin. Am I telling you what doses to do it with? No. But the people who tend to have, like, if you're taking some really low dose of flush niacin and you're just constantly you're flushing every day and it's uncomfortable and it doesn't seem to ever get any better. Well, the solution might be to jump up in dose because you're smoldering down there with the toxicity. You're not getting rid of it all daily. What happens is, so those of you who have taken flush niacin know, if you take a dose for long enough, the typical reaction is the flush goes away. We all know this. It gets lighter as you go and it goes away. If you skip a day or two or a week and you try taking it again, the flush is back. Why would this happen? Why would, in theory, let's say somebody was saying it's flush niacin toxicity. Does it make any sense that if you took a dose that caused you a flush and then you keep taking that same dose and a week later there's no flush, does that sound like a toxicity accumulation problem, or is it the opposite of it? It's the opposite. The body is cleaning stuff out in the skin so you don't have those it's the detox of the toxins, in my opinion, that causes the flush feeling. So you clean those toxins out. How do those toxins get to your skin? Well, daily, if you're leaking bile into your bloodstream, it gets to your skin, it fills up. If you skip flush niacin long enough, your skin builds up the toxins again. You take the flush niacin. If you take it enough, you eventually clear out those toxins. It goes down. You don't flush anymore. If you take more, then all of a sudden, oh, wait, I'm flushing again because you just put in more gasoline to run the detox engine. You're cleaning out more stuff. So, like toxicity problems, this is a really important concept. If you're getting toxicity from something, the symptoms, if you're continuing to take in the same dose, the symptoms increase over time. They don't decrease over time. So if you were getting dry skin, yeah, you're detoxing in your skin. If you don't like it, do less or take a break. I have detailed instructions on lactoferrin about taking less, starting very slow, watching for any creeping up symptoms that might be happening, and then either going down or taking a break until that goes away. And then when you restart it, it usually doesn't happen again. So if it doesn't happen again, did you have a lactoferrin toxicity problem, or did you have a toxic bile dumping problem that you solved over your body, your liver solved over time, and then you can take it again without a problem? We have to use our brain here. We don't just want to be like supplements are good or supplements are bad. Just like we don't say food is good or food is bad. Like writing articles saying supplements are good or supplements are bad, like to use no nuance like that, it's terrible. That's not using half a brain even. So, let's see. Wow, SG Golan says they've gone up to 5 grams and back down to your comfortable 500 milligrams. Wow. Well, so if you're having issues, are you still having issues at the 500? 5 grams is a lot. Like I did that. I do about 2.5 grams a day personally, a teaspoon worth. of flesh niacin powder. And I do buffer it. I buffer it. I used to say, I think I used to say I buffered it with magnesium carbonate. I buffer it with potassium bicarb now. The dosing on buffering is in the Love Your Liver program. That's where we have it. So let's see. Yeah. So, okay. So like, here's a story. Okay. This is a good, Jana Bug said, I attempted to go up to 125 milligrams of nicotinic acid, flesh niacin, but it seemed to make me anxious and copper dumping too much stuff. Okay. So I dropped back down to 60 milligrams, still get some mild flushing with it. Perfect. It's really that easy, folks. When you follow the instructions, which Jana Bug is doing, this is all fine. Don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, so here's why I don't often tell people what I do. Because there's people here, you know who you are already, who hear me say I take 2,500 milligrams a day, and they go, oh, Dr. Smith takes that. That must be the perfect dose. I'm going to take what he takes. Well, you don't do the workout that I do. Why would you all of a sudden take what I take? I don't tell people what I eat because then people start thinking that I have the perfect diet. No, I figured out what works for me. So I don't tell you because then people go, well, I'm going to do what he does. You know how many, as I go over in that Substack article, as we just went over today, some people can get way too much red meat because they followed the prison diet of red meat, beans, and rice, and that red meat 3 times a day was too much for them. So should they do that just because that's what Grant ate? No. The whole idea of my part of this movement is to help people figure out what they should eat within a framework. It's not to say red meat, beans, and rice 3 times a day, every day until you die. That's not nuanced. That's not individualized. That doesn't work for everybody. So that's okay. That's what we got, I think. So if you guys want to stick around in the chat, Kelsey, if you and SG Golan want to keep chatting in the live chat, we'll just leave it going. I got to wrap this up because I gotta do my inner circle, and then I got to pick up my boy so we can go to the gym. Oh, Jana Bug says you have very good, clear instructions. Good work, sir. Thank you. Those of you who know, like, I write detailed instructions. You can go to on the bottles, like, right? I can only put directions on the bottles. People go, well, why take 1 capsule a day? Because I have to put instructions on the bottle of a sentence. What do I put on the bottle too? I say, see this link for detailed instructions. So I'm trying to do both things. I have to make it fit on the bottle, and I'm trying to give people detailed instructions so they know how to deal with it, so they don't think they took a whole capsule of lactoferrin and they felt bad. Well, that's a huge, for somebody who's very, very toxic, 1 pill of lactoferrin is a lot. It is. Some people take 2 a day. I'm currently taking 1 because I think 1 is a good amount for me right now. And if I miss lactoferrin for several months, I start to notice that my mood is not as good and my productivity is not as good. So do I have to take lactoferrin? No. Does it increase my quality of life? Yes. So I do. So I make choices based on my observations and how I feel and what I want to do. So that's that. So Joe, let's hit on those links. Oh, we got new links. Or did I already go over those? I don't remember. Oh, Baptized in Fire said, thanks again, Doc. You've saved my life. I won't waste it. Good. Don't waste it. Don't ever waste it. SG Golan said, thank you, Dr. Smith. Looking forward to your hair growth insights. Yeah. Hair regrowth. And actually, let me tell you something funny that I researched. So you see how my hair is kind of lighter up here? I've said this before. It's kind of lighter right there. As I did some research on hair regrowth and melanin in the hair. Joe, I'll get to the links in 1 second. But I learned that actually with hair regrowth, it's very common for it to come out lighter. Now, as in my research, it said it may or may not turn dark again. Especially it said if you're older. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, at 49 trying to regrow my hair, you could put me in the older category. Like I'm not in my 20s or 30s anymore. So I was just kind of like, okay, maybe it won't come back. Maybe the color won't come back. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Most guys want the hair back. They don't really care that much about, as long as it's not gray, they don't care that much about the color. So anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to actually be a fairly, the whole program, once you understand all of it, is going to be fairly straightforward and easy to do. And it shouldn't impact your day to day that much. But yeah, it'll be good. And it all fits with every principle that we talk about here. So first of all, if you're doing anything that is causing you ever to notice your hair is thinning, stop doing that. Don't make it harder to fix it later. And as I'll say this again about hair regrowth, the head growing bigger from intracranial pressure, which is what vitamin A toxicity can cause, the head growing bigger from vitamin A toxicity is probably an unrecognized massive cause of hair loss. Because when you look at the people you know who have lost their hair, they always have big noggins. I have a big noggin. I've always had a big noggin. I remember in baseball comparing my hat size to other kids. I was like, why is my head so big? It's vitamin A toxicity. I've been dealing with this for a very long time. So what do we do? Can we make the head get smaller? I don't think we can. I don't think people are going to start wearing something on their head to like compress their head back down in size so they can regrow hair. But what we can do is we can stop making our head bigger by fixing vitamin A toxicity. That's a huge thing. Is it going to make the head get smaller by itself though? No, we have to do methods to increase blood flow and get rid of fibrosis and all that stuff in the scalp. So like I said, I had to do these articles to establish, I wasn't going to take it lying down. I had to do those articles on Substack. They're going to come out over the next couple days. Had to do those articles because I was not going to take what was done lying down. And I didn't want to have to do it. Things were pushed. So I did. So anyway, okay, Joe, let's hit those links. Did I miss any super? Oh, wait. Let me do that last super chat. Sorry. Let me do the last super chat. Sorry. I'll get back to it, Joe. P. Miller says, I don't think I've heard you discuss molecular hydrogen, the type you inhale. I have a fancy machine that costs a pretty penny. How do these selective antioxidants play a role in our detox? So you know how there's lots of research out there that says antioxidants, the antioxidant theory of health and antioxidants are going to fix everything? And molecular hydrogen is considered to be one of the most powerful antioxidants out there. Okay. So if you're taking one of the most powerful antioxidants out there, could it over antioxidate you? Absolutely. Okay. Then we get into what are the biggest detox enzyme pathways that we talk about here in terms of vitamin A. Alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. We have talked before, there's lots of research on, there's tons of research on molecular hydrogen supposedly helping. So much so that I looked into it and I did it in practice for a bit and I had people taking it. Kind of like lithium, I didn't notice enough improvements in enough people to keep doing it for the price that it was because I didn't buy the machine. However, when we're talking about in this approach, do we like overdoing antioxidants? No. The literal name alcohol D to remove hydrogen ACE enzyme. So an dehydrogenase is an enzyme that removes hydrogen. Does it sound like putting a bunch of hydrogens in the system is going to help that detox pathway or inhibit it? We already know that typical antioxidants like polyphenols slow down ALDH. So we have evidence of multiple antioxidants slowing dehydrogenase enzymes. So molecular hydrogen is an antioxidant. We have dehydrogenase and we're adding hydrogens to the system. I don't recommend it. Could it be used short term to slow down detox so people feel better? Could that be why the research looks good on it short term? Quite possibly. Where was that? So you were saying, P. Miller, you have a fancy machine that cost a pretty penny. Are you using it though? Did you try it? Did you try it? And maybe you didn't notice much, and that's why you have this fancy machine that's sitting around not being used, is my guess. So maybe you tried it, you bought into the hype, you used it just like I did in practice. I tried it with people because I read all the stuff, and I didn't notice enough to keep doing it. That's a common thing with antioxidants because, right, if you don't take enough with antioxidants to completely shut down your detox, it doesn't really do that much. If you do take enough antioxidants, then you're likely your body will stop making its own antioxidants as much, which is really, you want your body making your antioxidants so it regulates how the balance goes. So are we all about oxidation here? No. We want the body in control of oxidation as much as possible. If we need a little help, we might do some of these oxidizing agents. But otherwise, we don't put in a ton of antioxidants and we don't put in oxidizing agents if we don't have to. We try to restore the body's nutrient deficiencies and reduce the toxicity so then the body has control of these things. That's our goal. Our goal is to give your body control. Now, if the food's deficient and it doesn't have zinc in it, and you can't get enough from the animals that are deficient in zinc too, then you might have to supplement things like zinc. Does that make sense? So, no, I haven't talked about molecular hydrogen much because it was a fad. It was definitely a fad. Those of us who have been around long enough in this game know the whole molecular hydrogen fad, and it fell off because it didn't do as much as people thought. And here's the crazy thing. You'll read about it in research and it'll sound amazing. Just like people are pushing the lithium orotate thing again. Might a couple people feel good from it? Sure. But the majority don't. So that's why the fad dies off. Because it's just not enough of an impact on enough people to stick around. So, okay. That's all I have. Joe, we're going to do it now. So we have the consultations. If you want to work with myself or Kelsey or Nathan doing our hair testing, our blood testing, you get a consultation, you get access to the Love Your Liver program for life, and then you get 6 months of small group support. Talking to, we all each do a session once a week, so you have 3 opportunities a week to get help for 6 months in a package. You can sign up for that. Actually, let me stick on this for one more. We just sent out an email, so anybody who's listening to this, it is September 16th, 2025. Until October 1st, we just sent out an email about this. Until October 1st, we still have the new client price and the return client price. Return clients paid a bit less. Okay. We are getting rid of 2 prices. We are turning it into 1 price for multiple reasons. So if you are a return, this is only, I'm only talking to people who have already done a package with us. Again, I'm only talking to people who have done a return package with us. Until October 1st, the lower return package price is still available. As of October 1st, there's only going to be 1 price. And that lower return package price is disappearing. So if you are on the fence about re-upping, do you have to use your package right away? Do you have to schedule right away? No, you can schedule. You could keep it and hold on to it. You could schedule it out in the future for when you want to use it. The scheduling is not an issue. The price change, the disappearing of the return client price happens October 1st. So if you guys want to get a package and you're a return client, get it now. If you have not done a package with us and you buy the return package, Julie's going to deal with that, and you're going to have to pay the balance to get the new package. So don't buy a return package unless you're going to buy a new one and a return one, so you can get the return discount and you've taken care of the new part first. Then you can do that. So it may seem complicated, but it's not. But us getting rid of the return package is going to make things a lot less complicated. So next one, Joe. Okay. nutritiondetective.com. That is our main website. We are in the process of a full website redesign. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be cool. That's where you can find our supplements in the shop. If you're not a Love Your Liver member, that's where you can find our supplements and extra supplements that we have behind the password protection in the VIP store, but only Love Your Liver members get access to the VIP store. And then we have our consultation link there. That's where you could find the facilitators. And then we also have the Love Your Liver program, the do-it-yourself program, my life's work, where you can sign up for that. So that, yeah, Joe's putting that up now. You can go to either the membership link on nutritiondetective.com, or you can go to members.nutritiondetective.com, and that's the landing page for it, and you can go from there. So, like I said, anybody who gets a package gets lifetime access to the Love Your Liver program with the package. So episodes 53 and 71, this is where the basics of toxic bile paradigm live on video. This is where I go over the basics. So if you don't understand what's he talking about with toxic bile, and what's he talking about with bile dumping, and what's he talking about with bile leaking into the system, go watch. Especially 71 is the more recent one. I'm going to redo it at some point. I got a list of things. I got a bunch of guests I want to have on now and do other things. nutritionrestored.com/blog-forum. This is my old research forum where I was basically on a forum by myself, writing articles for people to read, but there wasn't a forum of interaction. It was just the way I chose to do it. So you can find tons of stuff there. What I'm going to be doing is repurposing a lot of those posts, turning them into blog posts, and any blog posts I'll also be posting on Substack too. So if you want to subscribe to the Substack, there will be cool stuff coming out there, but we'll also have it on the blog on the website. Oh yeah, Joe's putting up the Substack one because I was talking about it. There's substack.com/@nutritiondetective. There's also drgarrettsmith.com or .substack.com, I believe, right? That's it, Joe. So yeah, I'm Dr. Garrett Smith. That's all the drgarrettsmith.substack.com. Then Joe, we got some other links, right? Twitter, if there's that, past live streams, that's on YouTube too. As we talked about today, if you're on YouTube and you're looking through the live streams and maybe you're binge watching them and going through them one by one, because a lot of people do that. If you find that one's missing, so if you're under the live tab, go over to the videos tab. Like this video is probably going to be on the videos tab because I'm going to have to go edit it because I said some naughty letters. So anyway, so if you're there, if you go to Rumble, all the episodes are there. There is one episode on YouTube that can never come back to YouTube, and that's on Rumble. I forget which number it was. I'll have to look that up. So that's the Rumble link right there, rumble.com/user/nutrition-detective. Let's keep going, Joe. My GLASP. Okay, GLASP is when you watch these episodes and you see me citing studies with the link, the hyperlink study, and I'm showing you the study and you see the highlight on there. If you go to that GLASP link, you can search for any word that I might have talked about, and you can find all the papers where I've highlighted, and you can see the highlights and you can see the paper. It links to the paper. So that's where you can go and do a big search of my stuff. Instagram.com. This is our new Instagram page, instagram.com/the.real-nutrition-detective. So that's, we're still getting started with that. We're repopulating it. We had issues with our old page, so we decided to start a new one. Joe, we got the Facebook up there, the new Facebook too. Let's see, we're waiting. So patient. That's our new Facebook page. Hopefully we're going to get a custom URL soon. That's not a very good URL, but we're working on it. We'll get that fixed. Like I said, we just started it like this last week. So we're working on all that stuff, but I wanted to get you guys, if you're on Facebook, I don't like Facebook anymore, but if you're on it and you want to do it, that's great. Joe, let's do Twitter. If you got it, twitter.com or x.com. x.com/NutriDetect, NutriDetect. Posted that niacin paper there the other day. Twitter is getting a little depressing these days. For those of you who are on there, it's getting disappointing. We'll put it that way. So I'm kind of excited about the Substack stuff because now I can spend more time in a different place where people appreciate long form content, which is what I do, like long form videos. Here's Nutrition Detect. Oh, that's the store. So nutritiondetective.com/collections/shop. Let's keep going, Joe. Otherwise, I think I've been over all the stuff. I think I've covered enough. Oh, 216. Yes, this is today. So yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Love Your Liver 216. So more than 4 years straight, every single week. So I showed you guys that Substack article. If those of you who are subscribed to the Substack, you'll be getting, it's not paid. I don't charge for my Substack. So it'll send out you an email every time I publish a new article there. We talked about niacin and the research on it now fixing fatty liver. We had our live chat and then we had some testimonials. So hope you all enjoyed that. I don't know if I want this camera to move around anymore. I swear I'm almost getting like seasick from this. Anyway, I don't get seasick much. So thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got useful information. And I will see you all next week for another episode. Bye now.